What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the Eternal Wrestling Podcast. I'm your host, Jacob, and this is our fantasy booking series, Reckoning. So, tonight's episode of Reckoning, one match within the tag team tournament will be the NWOs, Bronson Reed and Braun Strowman, taking on the Motor City Machine Guns in their debut match. But as for the events of last week, what happened was former tag team champion Penta came to the ring to relinquish the tag team titles, as in our last pay-per-view, Rite of Passage, Rey Mysterio landed wrong, severely hurt his knee, and then the Kings of the Black Throne demolished the tag team and just further aggravated that injury that Rey Mysterio sustained. So a tournament was made to crown new tag team champions. We saw RVD throwing a trash can at Darby Allin in the parking lot and claiming that Darby needs to slow his roll and stop being so wild. We saw Johnny Gargano against Anthony Bowens, where Johnny Gargano has a severe attitude issue and he's just going crazy, very aggressive, and he was part of DIY in our series, and now he's just going lone wolf and biting the heads off anybody who comes into his path. One match within the tag team tournament, we saw a debuting Jurassic Express, Luchasaurus, and Jungle Boy, Jack Perry, beating the tag team of Rhythm and Blues, Greg Valentine and Honky Tonk Man. We also saw that Damian Priest was taking on DDP in a singles match, eliminator type of match, to determine if DDP would be able to face Damian for the title later on down the line, but DDP was unsuccessful. Another match within the tag team tournament, Seth Rollins decided to partner up with Penta, as Penta was able to get another shot at trying to regain his gold. They took on the Young Bucks and they were victorious. We'll see how long this thrown together tag team can last. And we had a battle royal to crown a new number one contender for the World Championship, and who would go on to face Hollywood Hulk Hogan at our next pay-per-view, Malice, which is airing June 6th, Saturday, so mark your calendars. And during this battle royal, some highlights were that we had 3 shocking debuts: Jon Moxley, Swerve Strickland, and the Bastard Pac. Now, in our series, Pac and Moxley are not a team. They are not the Death Riders. That is not happening currently, just for some clarification. Also, another highlight within the battle royal, Eddie Kingston eliminated Triple H, and that may be of use later on down the line. You'll have to tune in and find out. But our winner of this over-the-top rope battle royal was the Prince, Finn Balor, and he gets his shot at the World Championship June 6th at Malice. Now, at Malice, every single match on that card will have a stipulation. So, let's get into the action of tonight's matches and events as we build towards Malice. In segment 1, our opening contest is one match in the tag team tournament. NWOs, Bronson Reed and Braun Strowman, are taking on the Motor City Machine Guns, Alex Shelley and Chris Sabin. Now, the NWO, they make their way down to the ring. They're looking cocky since they are the bigger men here. They've got their NWO cut-off shirts. They take them off, they throw them into the crowd, and out comes the Motor City Machine Guns. Motor City. They come running, flying into the ring. Everybody's excited. This is their debut match on the Reckoning brand. The bell rings and the action is underway. So, it's no surprise that the NWO have the size and power advantage here. And every time Alex Shelley, he tries to gain momentum, and pick up the pace, Bronson Reed, the legal man, just cuts him down to size, shoulder tackles, body slams. He's kind of sending Alex Shelley all over the map so far in their early goings. But further into the match, Braun Strowman, he picks up Chris Sabin for a big power slam. But Sabin, he was able to slip out, and he catches Braun's leg, allowing Shelley to hit a basement dropkick. And the Guns, they're starting to gain momentum here, quick tag attempts, trying to keep each other fresh and their momentum and offense going. So, for them being the smaller of the two tag teams, things eventually turn for the worse. And Bronson Reed, he's preparing for a big tsunami splash. This is looking like the end of the match. Looks like the NWO may just come out with the powerhouse here. all of a sudden, Scott Hall appears at the top of the ramp, and he's, flicking a toothpick. On the opposite side, who's jumping the barricade, are returning Kevin Nash. The Outsiders, they're back in the Reckoning brand. They were taken out in our very first episode by Bronson Reed and Braun Strowman, the newest NWO members with Hogan. And just this visual of the Outsiders approaching the ring, it almost like paralyzes the NWO. They're completely caught off guard. So while Reed is distracted by Kevin Nash's presence, and he's starting to yell at him, Alex Shelley is able to capitalize, knocking Bronson Reed off the top rope and hitting a schoolboy roll-up, getting a big handful of tights. 1, 2, 3. The Motor Machine Guns win this match by the skin of their teeth. We have a quick commercial break. On to segment 2. The Outsiders, they don't really celebrate with the guns. They just storm the ring, and they're beating down the NWO. Braun Strowman is met with a big boot from Kevin Nash, and Scott Hall delivers a razor's edge to Bronson Reed. And they're beating down these two behemoths. And once they're laid out, they're proving that the Outsiders are back, and they are out for blood. On to segment 3. The camera is showing one of the back doors to the arena. It goes flying open. The Sandman, kendo stick in hand, beer in the other, cigarette in his mouth. He enters. His eyes are kind of bloodshot here. His beer can's about half empty. And he's just not looking to play around. He's tired of the back and forth with Bray Wyatt. So he enters a dressing room. It says Bray Wyatt. He enters it, and all of a sudden, it's not a normal dressing room. It's the Firefly Funhouse. So as he enters the door, he's looking around. What the hell is this? Suddenly, within one of the colorful windows, pops up Abby the Witch. Her eyes are like clicking. You don't belong here, Sandman, she cackles. Too much sin. Too much smoke. Then Ramblin' Rabbit, he hops up on the table. Of course, he's all frantic. Oh, geez, oh no! You're gonna get blood on the carpet. He doesn't like stains. Sandman starts yelling and barking. Shut up, you stuffed rats. And he's swinging that kendo stick back in the air, taking a big swig of his beer. But then, the lights, they start to strobe. All of a sudden, that cheerful music, the "we're really glad that you're our friend" theme starts to get really distorted. Yowie wowie. A voice echoes throughout the Firefly Funhouse with every flash of the strobing lights. Mercy the Buzzard vanishes. Huskus the Pig. Until eventually, the entire room is empty of the puppets. And soon, a dark red crimson light fills the Firefly Funhouse. And the goodbye sign that's over the door that Sandman came through now reads, "Let me in." And once this happens, Sandman, he's not looking so tough all of a sudden. He drops his beer can. It hits the floor with a thud. And all of a sudden, some black, oily sludge starts pouring out of it. All over the floor, just filling the floor. He's gripping his kendo stick with both hands, looking around, scanning. Come on, show yourself, he's screaming. And a low rhythmic breathing starts filling the room, bellowing almost from every corner. Red mist also fills the Firefly Funhouse. In the Fiend, he emerges. And we see his big yellow eyes and that grinning clown-like mask that he has. The man doesn't wait here. He yells. He goes running and he swings that kendo stick over the head of the Fiend. A big crack. And the kendo stick shatters. Shards fly through the air. But the Fiend, Bray Wyatt, he doesn't even flinch. He just kind of tilts his head, cracking his neck, and a laugh echoes. And he starts reaching out his hands like this, where it says heal and hurt on his gloves. Sandman, he's stumbling backwards. He's getting out of there. He trips over a stool. And he doesn't look back. He scrambles out the door. And you could hear the Fiend's footsteps just echoing behind him. And as he charges through the door, reality sets back in. He's on a cold concrete floor in the arena hallway. The red light is gone. There's no flickering. He looks up. It's just regular fluorescent lights in the arena. And he's coughing. As he's looking back, he's looking at the open door that he just exited. And it's nothing more than a regular locker room. No crazy colors, no puppets, and some stage hands and backstage crew. They're just looking at him like, what the hell are you doing, dude? And his hands are kind of shaking as he looks at them and then back at where he just came from. On to segment 4, we have like a backstage promo vignette. Big Van Vader here, the Mastodon. He's been feuding with Bam Bigelow. And he's angry here. He goes on to say that they talk about the beast from the east. They talk about a man who can move like a cruiserweight. They talk about you, Bam Bigelow, like you're some kind of freak of nature. He leans in closer to the camera. But you're looking at the Mastodon. You're looking at the man who conquered Japan, who broke spines from Denver to Tokyo. You think those flames on your head are dangerous? Boy, I've walked through hell, and I didn't even break a sweat. And you know what? At Malice, I don't just want a wrestling match. This is going to be a collision. You move fast, I move with the force of an avalanche. You hit hard, I hit with the weight of the world. And when the mask comes down and the smoke clears, the world is going to realize there's only one true monster in this ring. And then he's almost like right up at the camera now. Bam, look into these eyes and tell me what time it is. He lets a pause happen, though. And then he just yells, Vader time! And he throws the cameraman off to the side and exits. On to segment 5, we have a singles contest here. The Scottish Warrior, Drew McIntyre, coming off his victory against Randy Orton at the Rite of Passage pay-per-view, he is taking on Darby Allin. The bell sounds, and the singles match is underway. Drew wastes no time throwing Darby across the ring like a lawn dart, and Darby, being the underdog that he usually is in most of his matches, even though his face paint is smeared and there's sweat rolling down him, he keeps getting back up. Never say die attitude. Towards the middle of the match here, out comes Rob Van Dam. He's walking down to the ring. He's carrying a steel chair and he sets it up and he's sitting at ringside, crossing his arms, and he's watching the match unfold. So Darby, he hits a coffin drop to the outside, nearly taking out both Drew and RVD in one go. As Darby comes back in after he rolls Drew McIntyre back into the ring, he's going to go for like a springboard attack over the rope. But RVD catches his ankle, tripping Darby up. This allows the big Scottish warrior, Drew McIntyre, to hit a thunderous claymore, knocking Darby down. He covers him 1, 2, 3. Drew McIntyre gets the win here. He doesn't look too happy that RVD interfered in his match, but he'll take the win and he goes on to leave. Then RVD, he gets in the ring and he stands over the beaten down Darby Allin. He kneels down and he's mocking Darby's relentless spirit, calling him just a rag doll before leaving the ring. On to segment 6. We have another singles match here. The Samoan Bulldozer, Umaga, taking on one half of the Young Bucks, Nick Jackson. So the bell sounds, the action's underway, and Nick, he's giving the upper hand here earlier on in the match, using his speed advantage, kicks, dives, even going up to the top rope, drop kicks on Umaga. Umaga goes down, but he keeps getting back up. Nick, he's even trying to, do some headlocks on Umaga, really just grind him down, target the knees and ankles of Umaga, just get this big bulldozer broken down. But it's not to be, as Nick, he's trying to do almost a sleeper on Umaga. Umaga gets back up to his feet. He tosses Nick Jackson on his shoulders. He jumps, boom, big Samoan drop. Picks up Nick, a big, strong Irish whip to the corner where he just collides. Big running hip attack. He picks up Nick by the throat in a goozle choke. Big Samoan spiking him down. And he just spits flying. Umaga's going crazy. He pins Nick. 1, 2. Quick commercial break. Then we're back. And we see Umaga is just going crazy, attacking Nick Jackson. His brother Matt accompanied him. So Matt slides into the ring and he starts attacking Umaga because Umaga is not doing anything besides violence. So both Young Bucks, they're able to work together even though Nick is really beaten down here. they're getting some super kicks. They're trying to get a BTE trigger on Umaga. They're about to hit their knees into his head. He ducks down. He picks them both up, slams them both down on top of each other. He climbs to the middle turnbuckle, a big jumping splash onto the Young Bucks. He's beating his chest. He's screaming in the air as Umaga stands tall. On to segment 8. Whose house? Swerve Strickland makes his way out to the ring. Once he gets in the ring, he's got a mic, and he waits for his opponent, Greg the Hammer Valentine, to come out. He says, "Your old ass is only going to be a building block in my house. I am turning Reckoning into Swerve's house." Whose house? The crowd chants, "Swerve's house." They're going wild. They're excited to see Swerve Strickland in his first singles match on the Reckoning brand. We have a quick commercial break, and then on to segment 9, Greg the Hammer Valentine is taking on Swerve Strickland. And Swerve, he doesn't even take his coat off yet after he cut that little promo, and now he's, taking off his coat. Greg, he rushes Swerve. He's beating him down as Swerve's trying to get his coat off. The bell sounds, and he's really putting like the boots to Swerve here. He's not going to take that disrespect. He's a veteran of the business. He's been around. He's not going to put up with it. So he's really putting the offense onto Swerve. He gets Swerve in the corner. He's going to go for a big, run clothesline. Swerve ducks. And Greg, he kind of hits his head on that top turnbuckle as he collides and makes impact. It's a flatliner onto Greg, and then he climbs up to the top rope. He hits a big Swerve stomp onto Greg. And while Greg is down, he's trash talking him. You think you can step to me? Just berating Greg the Hammer Valentine. And he gets a big running house call kick to the side of Greg's head, hooks the leg. 1, 2. Swerve Strickland is victorious in his first match here on the Reckoning brand. On to segment 10. Out comes our new number 1 contender for the world title, Finn Balor. He's got a leather jacket on. Now the prince has arrived. He makes his way out. He's calling out Hulk Hogan. He goes on to say that, "Hulk, I understand that you're a legend in this business. You've held many world titles, and that you may think you're the king of pro wrestling or even a god of pro wrestling, but the prince is here to take your crown. And at Malice, I'm taking that stip. But you know what? The stipulation for our match hasn't even been decided." Out comes Hulk Hogan. NWO flashes on the Tron, and Hogan goes on to say, "I'm not impressed by a leprechaun who can do flips, dude. I've got bigger fish to fry, and you're going to end up like all the rest who've tried to take me down. But I tell you what, kid, if you're so eager on that stipulation, then next week you can beat an opponent of my choosing. And if you do beat him, you can decide on the match at Malice. Piss off, brother." And that is it for our episode of Reckoning. So, next week, Finn Balor takes on a mystery opponent. We also will see the Kings of the Black Throne taking on the Acclaimed. And we move further into our tournament to crown tag team champions. All this, much more, next Tuesday on Reckoning. And don't forget, Malice, June 6th. We will also see Bam Bigelow taking on Vader in a last man standing match. The stipulation has been decided by management and our general manager, Adam Pierce. I thank you all for tuning into this fantasy booking episode, and I hope you guys are enjoying it. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, as it does help the channel grow. We're all over the place: Spotify, iHeartRadio, YouTube, and Apple Podcasts. So whenever you listen to this, I hope you guys have a good morning or a good night, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.